Ah yes, it's that time of year again. Birds are chirping, garage sale signs are multiplying, and resellers across the country start complaining about the summer slowdown. I feel like this is said so often by so many people that it's become somewhat of a reseller folklore, almost like a rite of passage to blame your lack of sales on the calendar, but that doesn't necessarily make it true. And look, I'm not saying sales don't dip for some sellers in the summer, they definitely do. But the problem is there's no real way to prove that it's because of summer. I feel like every time you hear a seller complain about slow sales, you can bet that there's another one celebrating the opposite. That's because every seller is selling different stuff, and even you are likely selling different stuff this summer than you were last summer. So if your sales are slow during the summer, it's super easy to join the crowd and blame the summer. But here's the thing, if you want to blame the calendar, you'd need a way to prove that basically everything else stayed the same, that your inventory and your pricing and your listing habits and sourcing patterns and buyer behaviors and macroeconomic conditions and all of that stuff didn't change. You would have to prove that. You'd have to prove that they didn't change, but you can't. No one can prove that. The problem is there's no control group. There's no way to hold all other variables equal and say, yep, summer's the problem. And that's exactly why this concept of a slowdown becomes such a comfortable story for sellers trying to explain why their store suddenly feels dead once the temperature hits like 90 degrees. But that story can be super dangerous because it externalizes the problem. You have no control over the time of the year it is, of course, and by blaming the summer slowdown for a drop in sales, it sort of like lets you off the hook. There's really nothing you can do about it, so why even try to fix it? Well, you absolutely can fix it, and I'm going to show you how, but spoiler alert, you're probably not going to like what I tell you. Hello and welcome back to my weekly show where I talk about the ups and downs and in-betweens of selling on eBay. I've got a packed show for you today. I hit up a citywide garage sale this weekend and picked up a ton of stuff that I want to show you. I'm going to walk you through my numbers for the week as well as my top 10 sales, and we'll also be talking about this concept of the summer slowdown, of course, and what you can do to prepare. So let's jump back into that right now. So let's zoom out for a second and talk about what's actually going on with the idea behind a summer slowdown, because I don't think the question really is like, does summer kill sales? I think it's more like, what is demand doing during the summer and does my inventory match it? Because here's the thing, people are still buying things on eBay every day, even in July. Let me show you what I mean. Using eBay's product research, we can find plenty of items that have no real shift in demand throughout the year. Here's one example, Nike Air Max. This chart is showing the number of sales matching Nike Air Max over the last 2 years. And there's definitely some ups and downs, but there's no indication that summer is any slower than winter here. There's just no indication of that at all. In fact, look at that, April, July. So July is actually kind of higher than other parts of the year. We'll take a look at another one right here. This is for Nintendo Switch. Like clearly there's some like huge increase in demand right around Christmas time, of course, for obvious reasons. But other than that, it's really flat, across the entire year. There's no drop in summer at all, really. And here's one more just for good measure. This is like a Lego Star Wars. Again, completely flat throughout the entire year. There's some surges right there around Christmas, but overall, it's basically flat throughout the year. And so if your entire store was made up of items like this, stuff with steady year-round demand, I guarantee you that summer wouldn't feel slow at all. But most sellers aren't listing stuff like this. They're listing what they have or what they find at garage sales or what's available to them. And often that stuff just doesn't have consistent demand year-round. Because here's the thing, demand shifts every season, not just in the summer. If your store is made up of nothing but pool floats, you can bet that there's going to be a winter slowdown, not a summer slowdown. And so for those of us that sell across all categories, our stores are made up of items that have a mix of demand. Some things are going to be in demand year-round, while others are going to move more slowly or quickly depending on the season. But why does summer get such a bad rap? Why does everybody hate the summer? To figure that out, let's talk about Q4. Starting around September and October, most sellers start to see an increase in sales that grows all the way up until basically early to mid-December. This is like the Q4 surge. It's when most of us resellers are the happiest. But Q4 doesn't just bring more buyers. It actually makes more kinds of items appealing. And so stuff that didn't sell in July, for example, might suddenly sell in November because people are now buying gifts, for example, and not just for themselves. And that means even average inventory can start to move because someone somewhere needs a gift for some uncle that they barely know. And so that Star Wars Micro Machines that you've been sitting on all year finally gets sold. And as a result, your sell-through rate improves in Q4, your stale stuff starts to clear out, and it starts to feel like eBay is kind of like finally working again. But I think there's something else going on here to consider as well. Because this claim of a summer slowdown is so common, sellers, I think, start to expect that sales are slow. And that expectation leads some of them to sort of pull back, whether that's like subconscious or not, I don't know. But it means that there's like less sourcing going on, less listing, less energy going into their stores. And then the sales drop and the belief gets confirmed. And so they're like, see, it's a summer slowdown. But was it really summer, or did that expectation of slowness help shape the outcome? So yeah, sales might dip in the summer depending on what you sell, but that doesn't mean you're powerless. And it doesn't mean it's the season's fault. So if you want to beat the summer slowdown, you can't control the calendar, but you can control how well your store aligns with what people are actually buying during any given time period, including the summer. And that's really what you need to be doing. That all boils down to, sourcing better inventory, not just stuff that's cheap or convenient or what you can find, but stuff that people are still actively searching for either year round or during the summer or during whatever season happens to be slow for you. And it also means staying consistent with listing even when you're not feeling the urgency or you're expecting things to be slow. And maybe most of all, it means sort of being honest with yourself, because if sales are slow, you want to look at your store first before you look at the calendar and blame the time of the year. And it's super easy to check demand like I did earlier with that Switch or the Nike Air Max. Just do some research on your own inventory here. All of these tools are at your disposal, so you should use them to understand the makeup of your inventory and then use that to set better expectations for how your store is going to perform in the summer. Also, if you're tracking your own data, which you should be, you should use that to your advantage too. If I look at my own store, last year I definitely saw a slowdown during the summer. July was my slowest month. But if you look at 2023, it was the opposite. I actually had like a mini summer surge during the summer, and March was my slowest month. I don't really remember everything I was selling in 2023, and I haven't bothered to dig deep into the data to understand exactly why. But what I do know is that the makeup of my inventory is constantly changing. And so it's clear that what I had in stock in the summer of 2023 was in higher demand than what I had in stock in summer of 2024 last year. There's nothing really mysterious going on here. If you're an everything seller like I am, the best thing you can do here is to control your emotions. There are going to be ups and downs with your numbers. Some years, summers are going to be slow, and other years they're going to be bigger. You can usually expect that Q4 is going to perform better than any other time of the year, but what comes with your business model is some level of unpredictability, and you should be okay with that. Or if you're not okay with that, you want to adjust your business model. But don't take your foot off the gas at any point. Keep sourcing, keep listing, keep shipping. Look at how your business is performing on longer time scales and try not to freak out when things slow down for a month or two, because again, there's going to be slow periods, and that's totally okay. All right, what's next? Let's take a look at my garage sale finds for this past weekend, and then we'll walk through my sales. All right, had a pretty good day of garage sales. Today's Friday. I went to Troy, Illinois for their citywide sale. That's about 30 to 45 minutes outside of St. Louis. I always like going to these citywide garage sales. They're better than the neighborhood garage sales because they're just way more spread out. And we probably hit, 15 to 20 garage sales over about 2 hours this morning and found some pretty good stuff. So let's take a look at it. Starting with this Coleman lantern. This thing looks like it's from the 90s. It's model 295-700. It says $25 on there. I talked them down to 20. This thing's brand new though. Just never been used at all. I like to buy them if they're new. I tend to avoid them if they are used, just because sometimes they have fuel left over in there and I just don't have a good way to get rid of the fuel. So I tend to just pass on them unless they're very valuable in a used condition. But when they're new like this, definitely a good deal to pick this up. This thing should go for about $100. All right, next is this West Bend Stir Crazy. This is a popcorn maker. This thing I've got for $5. I will probably just part this thing out because this lid alone right here, just this lid comes off. You see here, that goes for like $20. The dome will probably go for $30 to $40. The base I can probably also sell, and then the power cable I can also sell as well. So I will most likely part this out. Not necessarily, but most likely. All right, next up are these. This is probably the best find of the entire day. This is a home programmable floor heating thermostat. So these two of them here, by the way. So two from the same garage sale here. They had, it looks like they had put in some like heated floor wiring, and these could go with that system, but they were just selling these two thermostats here. And these things, I paid $5 each. They're brand new. I think I'm gonna get about $125 to $150 for these. Just really crazy that they were selling these for $5. But this is like $250 to $300 worth of gross sales right here alone. So that was the best pickup of the day. Also just got a Kohler Heighten toilet seat. This thing I paid $10 for, which is a little much, but it should go for about $50 and it'll be easy to ship in this package right here. I got some Birkenstocks. These were only $2 and they're in pretty good condition. They do have a little bit of wear right there on the back, but they should still go for at least $40 to $50 for these Birkenstocks. I paid $2. Never can pass up a good Starbucks mug. They don't do as well as they used to, but I thought this was an interesting one. This California Golden State. This I think it's called the Traveler Series mug. Not exactly sure, but I think pretty sure that's what it's called. But I'm not going to get a ton of money for this. I'll probably get 20 bucks for it, but it was $2. These vintage recipe books can go for some money. I'm not going to make a ton of money on it, probably 20 to 25 bucks, but you can usually find them for a quarter. That's what we paid for this one. And there's some really disgusting recipes in there. I should read one of them. There's really gross recipes in there. Also picked up a Panasonic Blue Line VCR. You see that blue line right there? You definitely want to look out for that. People are, when they're looking for VCRs, they're often looking for these Panasonic Blue Line VCRs just because they are kind of workhorses. They don't break very often. So got this for only $1. That was a good pickup. I don't know, 40, 50, 60 bucks. I can't remember what they're going for these days, but it'll make some money. Also picked up these Fisher-Price Great Adventure little toys from the 90s here. It's a good example of having someone else do my research for me. So it says in here, you can see how this on here, it says, includes rare invisible night, never sold in stores, mail-in offer only, $10 for all. So I just went ahead and checked comps on the invisible one only, and it goes for about $30 to $40 just for one of them. And so I figured, well, at 10 bucks, that's going to be a pretty good deal, and I'll make my money back on just the invisible one, and then we'll see how much the rest of them sell. Not really sure. Also got this new in box Pampered Chef, $3. Pampered Chef's a good brand to look for. Not everything that they sell does well, but a lot of stuff that they do sell does do pretty well. This was $3. Again, brand new, $27.81. I think we'll get about 50 bucks for it. Just some old Tivas there. Probably 20 bucks worth. I don't know. It's not going to be a whole lot of money. Got some clothes here. This is a St. Louis Cardinals Columbia PFG brand and style shirt. I don't know. I didn't check comps on this. I'm guessing 15 to 20 bucks. I paid $1 for it. Got a really nice Chiefs hoodie here. This thing is a XL. It's gonna be hard to show you the whole thing, but Chiefs gear does really well these days. Chiefs are a pretty good team. So this thing I'll probably get 25 to 30. I paid $2 for it. I also bought a lot of J. Crew shirts here. These are just short sleeve polo shirts from J. Crew, but they're all the same size. They're all large, or I'm sorry, XLT. They're XL, extra large talls. And I will tend to buy things like this if I see them in a lot together, because I will just lot them up and sell them as a lot. Because people are typically, they have a shirt that they really like and they're like, ooh, I want to get more of those shirts. And so there's somebody out there that's going to want this J. Crew classic polo in XLT, and they're going to want a bunch of different colors of it. And I've got 6 of them here, or let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them here. So I paid $1 each. I don't even know. I'm going to guess I'll get at least 50 bucks, if not a little bit more. But yeah, that was the haul for today. It's a pretty good day, and we're going to go out tomorrow on Saturday as well. All right, it's Saturday. I went to some garage sales this morning. Didn't pick up a whole lot of stuff, but did get a few things, which we can talk through right now. This is a Toy Story Pizza Planet sweater. I paid $5 for it, honestly, which is probably too much, but I think it'll sell between $20 and $30, and it'll probably take like a year to sell. Kind of a sucker for Disney and other things like that. Speaking of Disney, I got this vintage West Clocks Made in USA Mickey Mouse clock here. It does work. I already put a battery in there and tested it. Paid $1 for it. Not going to be a big money maker. I'm going to guess $20 to $30 at most, but I like buying vintage Disney stuff. Also got some more Scream masks. If y'all remember, about 6 months ago, I bought a Scream mask just like this and sold it for, I think it was like $450 to $500. Got 2 of them here, but unfortunately, this is not the good one. This will probably still sell. I haven't done comps on it yet. I'm going to guess maybe 30 bucks. This is Easter Unlimited. That's not the good brand. I don't remember the name of the good brand. I'll flash it up here on the screen. But when I first saw it, I was like, oh man, did I just find another $500 Halloween mask? I don't think they're going to be worth that much. I think they'll be worth about 30 bucks total on that. Just a little coffee mug here. This is a Kate Spade, probably worth 20 bucks. I'm a sucker for coffee mugs though. It's a really nice Nike jacket here that I bought. Paid $8 for it, but the MSRP here is $85, so I don't know. I figure I can at least get 30 bucks for it. Also bought a box of a bunch of vintage Halloween pieces like this. The box was $10, and I think each one of these is going to be worth right around 30 bucks. So I'll probably get 30 bucks for that, 30 bucks for that, 30 bucks each on this. These are little Limax, I don't know, tree stumps maybe. And then this 3 Faces of Halloween by House of Lloyd, not Lloyd's of London, House of Lloyd. And yeah, I don't know. No idea what this will bring. Probably 30 to 40 bucks. What is this? Oh yeah, a Brother toner cartridge. That's another $30. And this Bath and Body Works candle. What is this? Summer Rain. Paid $3 for that. and it's will go for about 25 to 30. That's it. That's my haul this Saturday. All right, let's take a look at my numbers for this past week. I had a gross sale amount here of $988 and a net sale amount of $601. That's about an average week for me. My goal is to hit $30,000 net per year, and so I just need to be making just shy of $600, a little under $600 every week in order to hit that. And so hitting $600, that's within my range of where I need to be, and so I would consider this just an average week. You can see it looks like the Saturday was a big day for me, $329 in sales and just under $200 in net sales. My average gross per sale for the week was $41.17, and my average net per sale was $25.03. Net profit margin there is 61%. Most of my sales are coming from garage sales. That makes sense. I'm going to a lot of garage sales this season. Looks like I spent $174 this past week on new inventory. The cost of goods that sold was $71.75. That's pretty low. I'm guessing I just sold some inventory that I got pretty cheap. My marketplace fees for the last 7 days were $141, and shipping labels cost $166. 38 new listings out the door. 35 is my goal, so 3 above. Congratulations, Justin. You did it. You beat your goal. 24 sales over the past week. So my average time to list was less than a day. That's just the amount of time between buying and listing. You want that to be as low as possible. And the average time to sell was 3 months. That's the average time between listing and selling. 3 months is right around my average. My return on investment was high this week at $837. That sort of corresponds with that low cost of goods. So the inventory that I was selling this week looks like it has a low cost of goods, but a higher return, and that return on investment is higher because of that. Let's take a look at my top 10 sales. These are not top 10 by net. I'm just kind of picking some sales from this past week that were interesting or profitable to talk through. We'll talk through this first one. Number 10, this Adidas Champions League Berlin replica football here. I've had this for a super long time. Look at this, almost 2 years it took to sell. I purchased it on September 4th, 2021 at the Goodwill bins of all places. So what is that? That's like 4 years ago. Is that right? What is this? Are we in 2025? Yeah, that's almost 4 years ago, this thing. It's one of my older things in my inventory for sure. The reason I wanted to call this out is because it was a relist. You can see here, it was most previously listed and relisted back in 2023 and basically sat untouched for 2 years until I turned on the Flipwise auto relist functionality. It relisted April 28th and then sold about a couple weeks later for $35, free shipping, and my net return on it was $20.77. So this auto relist feature, we actually did recently launch it, so it is live for everyone if you're a Flipwise user. What you can do on the sidebar, go down to manage and then hit relists, and you're going to be able to turn on your auto relisting using that green button. I already have it turned on, so it just says edit auto relist. And what this feature is going to do is it's going to automatically relist your items basically right before eBay renews them each month. I've gotten a lot of good sales from automatically ending and relisting it, so pretty excited about that. All right, coming into number 9 are these JBL True Wireless in-ear headphones. These are pretty new. Yeah, only 11 days to sell. Look at that, 75 cents at a garage sale. I mean, why not just bump it to $1? Like, I don't know. I think I actually just gave them $1 and was like, you can keep it. These sold pretty quick though. 11 days, $26.98. That's $19.99 plus $6.99 in shipping. The net return was $18.22. So I just made sure that these were charged up. I connected them to my phone. That's also a good trick. If you have a hard time finding what the model number is, connect it to your phone via Bluetooth. It'll usually tell you the model number. I think this one had the model number written on it though, so it wasn't a big deal. But either way, they worked. They sounded good, and they sold pretty quickly for $26.98 for just 75 cents at a garage sale. So coming into number 8, you just saw this on my garage sale finds here. This is this Kansas City Chiefs Reebok hoodie. I think I might have underpriced this slightly. My goal is to sell, and so, but I do think I could have gotten a little bit more money for this because it only took about 5 hours to sell for $36.98. That's $29.99 plus $6.99 in shipping. The net return here was $20.91. Not bad for 5 hours. I bought it at the garage sale for $3, and just a really nice hoodie. I couldn't tell. It almost like I had a hard time dating this thing. I knew it wasn't like a true vintage item, but it also didn't seem brand new. Is Reebok making items like this these days? I don't know. My guess is this was about 10 years old, but it sold very quickly. So I probably should have priced this at the $34 to $40 range instead of the $30 range. Coming to number 7 is this portable clock radio from Sony. I got this one just a few weeks ago. Actually, not even a few weeks ago. When is this? Yeah, I got this back on May 10th. Took a day to list, a day to sell. I got it at a garage sale for $2. It sold for $39.99. Free shipping. Cost to ship was $8.78. The net return was $23.32. These things just sell really well. Sony's a great brand, obviously. These portable radios do really well. Some of them can be worth a lot of money. I actually thought this one was going to be a little bit more expensive than it was, but happy to get $39.99 out of it, or $23.32. Coming in at number 6, this was a recent purchase as well. This Vuori. Vuori is a really good brand to look out for. This is a long sleeve button down shirt. It sold in less than a day, so 17 hours. I got it at a garage sale for $2. It sold for $42.98. That's $35.99 plus $6.99 in shipping. The net return on this one was $30.11. Really good find at a garage sale here for $2. And anytime I see Vuori stuff, I always pick it up. In fact, I think I might have another Vuori piece that went out this week on my top 10 sales. So we'll take a look at that here in a second. Just kidding. I don't have another one. I do have this Pampered Chef. What is that? Chilzane? What does that mean? What is that word? Can somebody tell me what that word is? Let me just look it up. Chilzane. Okay. It's some Pampered Chef term. Chilzani? What is that? What does that mean? Somebody tell me what that means. Anyway, a deviled egg server. So this is a great time to sell this thing. Summer coming up. This also sold very quickly. You know, you just saw it on my garage sale video a few minutes ago. This thing sold for, what was it, $49.98. I bought it for $3 at a garage sale. With Pampered Chef, I tend to not buy everything, but most things are usually worth it. Any of the like stoneware pieces are almost always worth it, even in used condition. I also like, usually the smaller the piece is, the less valuable it is with Pampered Chef. That's not a perfect rule, but they make a lot of little tiny widgets and cookie cutters and bread loaf thing. I don't know. They make a bunch of stuff that's basically, you know, not worth it at all. But the larger pieces, for some reason, tend to do well. This was not a stoneware piece. This was a plastic piece, but it was fairly large. And the comps suggested that it was going to sell pretty quick, and the comps were right. It sold in one day for $49.98. But the net return on this one was $30.85. So keep an eye out for Pampered Chef stuff. It can often do really, really well. Coming in at number 4 is this Kohler. Gosh, I don't even know. I'm not a plumber. I've sold so much of these plumbing fixtures and stuff from this recent bulk buy that I made. This one took only 2 days to sell for $54.98. That's the fun thing about doing this Kohler palette in particular, is there's just a lot of pieces that I can't even recognize. I don't even know what they are. I pick them up and there's just boxes full of stuff that's worth $50 and $60. It's pretty incredible. I've done really well on this bulk buy. Let's take a look here. It looks like I have a total of 171 items listed. That's 257 units. That just is accounting for any of the multi-quantity listings that I have. The gross income from this sale was $4,850. The net income was just over $2,000. The total payout's $3,400. Still have 104 items actively listed. I've sold 62 of them, and I've got probably 50 things left to list on this. Still a really good performing palette here. This one in particular, like I said, sold for $54.98. Took only 2 days to sell. My net return was $32.83. Coming in at number 3 is this vintage Panasonic OmniMovie. If y'all remember this from a few weeks ago, I picked it up at a garage sale for just $1. And these big handy cams like this, you know, in my perception was that they were not worth picking up. Usually like older handy cams that use high 8 or other kind of older recording technology can still do well. There's still a collector's market for those, especially from the nice brands like JVC and Sony. This one, it was a Panasonic. It's one of the big ones you like wear on your shoulder. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't know. It was only $1. So I quickly checked comps on it. I was really shocked that it sold for as much money as it did, and it had as good of a sell-through rate as it did. Because you can see here, this only took 10 days to sell for $60. And I was really blown away that this thing had that much value. I did test it. I didn't tape test it. I didn't record anything, but I did power test it. You could see I said tested and turns on. I described in the listing kind of the details of all of that as well. But the net return on this one was $40.74, mostly because that purchase price was only $1. When I was looking through my sales insights earlier, I've got a very high ROI for this past 7 days and very low cost of goods. And this is just an example of one thing with a very low cost of goods and a very high ROI, 4,074%, for example. So keep an eye out for these things. Even in non-working condition, they're gonna sell for a decent amount. Just check your comps. They're not all worth good money. And you know, I was just really surprised that this one was worth what it was and that it sold as quickly as it did. Coming in at number 2 is this Microsoft Zune. I picked this up at a garage sale about 2 weeks ago for $5. It sold for $79.98. That's $69.99 plus $9.99 in shipping. Those of you that watch the channel will remember that I wasn't quite sure what the condition of this thing was. It looked very new in the box. So I opened it up, I tested it. Turns out it was not new. It had been used. And in fact, it was missing the power cord. And so I had to buy a separate power cord. You can see here, I recorded that expense, $8.33. I bought that power cord. When I record that expense like that, it automatically gets added into the selling cost so that I know my true net return on this with any accessories that you need to buy. But anyway, this thing was not new. And once I had the power cord, I was able to power it on, and the battery worked, but it didn't last very long. And so you can see here, I put read in the title, and then in the description, I described exactly what was going on with the unit. But even in this condition where it powered on, it worked, but the battery was not as good as it probably should have been, and it had an aftermarket cable, it still sold for $79.98. Took 11 days, and the net return was $49.87. All right, coming in at number 1, you just saw this as well, this Panasonic PV V4520 VCR. They call this the blue line. And so there's a couple different Panasonic VCR models that have that blue line running across the bottom. Whenever you see them, you definitely want to pick them up because they are considered not really collectible necessarily, but they're just known for being quality VCRs that last a long time. And so people are often looking to buy these. And this one took less than a day to sell, 22 hours it took. I got it at a garage sale for $1. And it sold for $84.98. That's $69.99 plus $14.99 in shipping. Shipping is one thing that people might be scared when buying VCRs or VCR DVD combos, but the shipping is really not that bad. Like this one only cost $11.30 to ship. So my net return on this one was $60.80 on this blue line Panasonic VCR. You definitely want to pick them up. How many blue lines have I sold here? Yeah, look, I've got 15. Well, there's a couple. You take out that North Face. But yeah, I've got at least 14 or 15 of these that I've sold in the last 2 years. And so they're just great to pick up, and they're worth quite a bit of money. In fact, this was a little bit more valuable than I thought it was going to be at $84.98. But great net return, great ROI on this. Just a really good sale on this Panasonic VCR. Let's turn the lights out. Let's get comfortable here. One, really want to thank those of you. I got a lot of people reaching out to me about the storms here in St. Louis. So if you heard, there was a pretty bad EF3 tornado that went directly through St. Louis, like through the city of St. Louis. And that's where I live. Fortunately, I was not in that path. I was a little bit further south than where that tornado went through, but just an incredible amount of damage that tornado caused. And so thank you so much if you reached out. And by the way, last week talking about water chestnuts, I've started some sort of culture war here with water chestnuts. I really divided my audience down a line of pro water chestnuts and anti-water chestnuts. And now there's a giant battle raging out there. And I don't know, this might be the end of society. These two groups going at each other. And so I'm sorry for starting this rift in society. I really didn't mean to, but I'm definitely on the anti-water chestnut side. So if you're looking for more soldiers, I'm there. I will help you out. By the way, I was talking about that recipe box that we bought having really disgusting recipes inside. I want to read one for you here. This is for ham and cheese salad. 1 cup cubed cooked ham, 1 cup green grapes, 1 can pineapple chunks, ½ cup chopped celery, 2 ounces of mozzarella cheese cut into strips, and 4 cups lettuce with a cottage cheese, chili sauce, green onion, basil, and salt dressing. Is that not the most disgusting thing that you've ever heard? Maybe somebody please make that and let me know how it turns out. I don't want to make it. I don't want to eat it. That's just the grossest thing I've ever heard. All right, we'll see you next week.